So you think your content dies after you post it only one time? Think again. Let's talk about how to make your content work harder for you. Yeah. Working like a slave in the field, for real. That's how I pay my bills. Repurposing content, it saves you about 60% of your time versus trying to start from scratch. Which means if you're starting with a piece of content that you've already created, that means you've already put the time into it and you're only getting more value from the time that you've already spent. So for example, it doesn't matter how long ago you posted something. If it's still relevant today, you can find a way to repurpose it. So for a music artist like myself, I have a lot of songs that I've put out. So is it just done once I put out a song and then you might share it a couple times on Facebook or Instagram and you think it's done? It's not the case. You can still take that content that you spent all that time and effort into creating, whether it's a song or even if it's a video, and let's take that same piece of content and repurpose it. So for example, if it's a video that you put on YouTube, kind of maybe a long form video like this one on YouTube, where you're going in depth about a topic, that's a video that you can take and repurpose it for other platforms. So let's say if you chop up the video and just take clips from the video, and now it's not just on YouTube, you can take those clips and you can post them in your story in other areas. You can post those clips on TikTok, if TikTok is still around, if they don't ban it, or even on Snapchat, whatever you want to do. So don't be afraid to take content that's already been posted and then find a new way to post it and maybe post it onto a new platform, because that saves you a lot of time and you really get more of a return on the time you invested into content. So don't let content die, especially something that worked in the past. If it was something that did good in the past, if it was something that resonated with a lot of people in the past, then don't be afraid to repurpose that content after some time goes by, just to see if some of the new people in your audience will have the same type of reaction to it. So for example, let's say you had a blog post where you were explaining something or illustrating something. Why don't you take that blog post and turn it into an infographic, a chart or something like that. And now you can post that as an image on LinkedIn, or you can post it on Facebook, Instagram, or you can do the reverse. If you have a video, why not take the audio from the video and you can post it as a podcast? Or if you have a video, why not take the audio from a video and turn it into a blog post? So there's a lot of different ways that you can repurpose content and use it for something else, or put it into a new platform and give it a whole new purpose. You can also refresh old content. So if you have a piece of content that was working, you could use that for inspiration. Look at a piece of content that worked for you in the past and find out, are there any new ideas that you can add on to it? Or is there something that you can expand on? Do you have more examples that you can provide? Is there a story that you can tell that will explain more of what that post was about? Or do you have more insight that you can provide to your audience? Because maybe all of that stuff will help when it comes to repurposing the content, coming up with a different way for it to be looked at. Even the small changes can make a big difference. There's a lot of successful videos that started off as blog posts, just like there's a lot of successful blog posts that started off as videos. So it works hand in hand. And when your content blows up, it doesn't matter if it's been repurposed or not. The only thing is we need it to blow up. We need people to see it. So do what you gotta do to spice it up. Even content that didn't work in the past and you felt like it should have worked, then maybe it was something about the way you posted it. Maybe it was the time you posted it, even something like that. You could post the same piece of content at a different time on a different day and get different results. So that's just another tool to have in your tool belt, is repurposing your content. It saves time. You want to batch your content ideas. So you could have an idea for content, but turn it into a lot of different pieces of content. So for example, my idea for content was I wanted to be on video performing my songs. I wanted to be on video performing my music. And it was like one particular song that I was inspired to make a video about, because I had someone that told me that they had went on the internet and they was looking up that song because they wanted to hear it because it was one of their favorite songs off one of my older mixtapes. And honestly, it was one of my favorite songs too. So I'm like, you know what? Instead of people having to dig and find that kind of stuff, why won't I just repurpose it so new people can hear that stuff now too? Because that music, it still resonates now. It still is relevant to me now. So I took that idea of performing one of my songs on a video to make like a one mic video. And I just decided, you know what? Let me do this same idea for a lot of different songs. So in one sitting, I was able to create almost 15 different videos or 15 different songs that I'm performing in one setting, and it's 15 completely different videos, completely different songs that I'm able to post, and people will be able to hear it for the first time, you know? So a lot of people hear it for the first time. Some people will be able to hear it again, but even the people that hear it again, it's cool because they really wouldn't have known where to find it to hear it anyway. So I'm actually doing them a favor by pushing it back up to the top. So now they can listen to it easily because it's gonna be on their feed now versus having to dig into my feed or dig into my profile and try to figure out where it's at. And then they might not even be able to find it that way. So repurposing content is not just good for you, it's also good for your audience. And something you see a lot of people doing is, for example, if you have an interview, the interview could be turned into a podcast. Or you can break an interview up into clips, and now you have good content of you actually talking. If you're not good at just talking to the camera, then maybe you could be talking to someone else, like interview style, but maybe have the camera facing you, so everything that you're saying is getting on the camera, and use that as content. So not only do you have the whole interview to use as a long form piece of content or use the audio for a podcast, you also got different clips of you speaking that you can use to build your personal brand. And that's really important with building your personal brand. You gotta be in front of the camera talking to the people so they know you and they understand your expertise and what you all about. So use data, look at your analytics, find out what post that you did or what piece of content worked well. If it performed well, then find a way to repurpose it because it will perform well again. If you're looking at posts that did not perform well, figure out how you can improve on those posts and then repurpose those posts in order to get better results, or even just tweak it in different ways. You don't just have to repurpose it one time. You can repurpose it once, and if it still doesn't work, repurpose it again, but just try to do something different with the content. That's how you get really good with this, is you have to try, you have to post. So instead of running out of things to post, just look back at your other posts. If you just are completely blank, you don't know what to do, just look back at your other posts and figure out, how can I repurpose one of these posts to make it into something new? Every platform offers insights for you to be able to look at the data and see which posts are performing well and which posts did not perform well. So use those tools, Google Analytics, Instagram Insights, Meta for Facebook. Use those tools to be able to go behind the scenes and look at what posts are working. And when you find out what posts are working or what posts are not working, that's how you know how you can tweak those posts to make it a whole different scenario. So to recap, repurpose formats, cross-platform sharing, refreshing old content, batch content ideas, and lastly, use your analytics. So I encourage you to repurpose at least one piece of content this week and see how it does. Let me know in the comments how it works for you and what type of content you chose to repurpose. And make sure you subscribe so you can get more tips like this.